Don't blink. Blink and you're dead. They're fast. Faster than you could ever believe. Don't turn your back. Don't look away. And don't blink. Good luck. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who Series 3, Episode 10, Blink. I think this is my favourite episode of the David Tennant era, and I think it's my second favourite episode of the mid to late 2000s, which are stories from 2005 to 2009, after Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways, of course, and also one of my favourite new series stories, and even one of my possibly top 10 stories of all time. Blink. I love this story, and it's also my mum's favourite story as well, of the show. This is a outstanding episode. For starters, Stephen Moffat. Say what you like about him after 2010, what he was like after 2010 as showrunner and head writer, but pre 2010, there was a reason why lots of people wanted him to take over from Russell T Davies when he left. It was this story and the Series 4 two-part story he wrote, Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead. Is what meant why many fans wanted him to take over after Russell T Davies left, and essentially they got what they wanted initially. And to be honest, it was actually a good choice to start with. Say what you like about the Moffat era as a whole, but to start with, it was a good choice. He was off to a great start with Series 5. More on that when we get to that series. But yeah, but you can't deny before he started, there was many people were hoping he would take over after Russell, and it was this story and his two-part story in Series 4 that is why they did that, and also the fact that he wrote not Human Nature, The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, and The Girl in the Fireplace. He's following Paul Cornell stories every other series at the moment. Human Nature, Family Blood followed Father's Day, and this story follows Human Nature, Family Blood. Didn't do it for Series 2 or 4, and like I said, Paul Cornell hasn't returned after Series 3. I mentioned that in the last review. He hasn't come back since Series 3. He should come back for Series 13, though. Anyway, Blink, like Human Nature, Family Blood, is based on a previous story written by Stephen Moffat, this time a short story for the Doctor Who Annual 2006, a short story called What I Did on My Christmas Holidays by Sally Sparrow, and the basis of that story is what we get in here, a bit like Dalek is the basis of the Audio Jubilee. As stuff from that story, like the Doctor trying to get a message to Sally Sparrow, send the TARDIS back towards him, her being the one who gives him all the information to begin with, and of course the ripping off the paper of the wall kind of thing. That's basically what we get in this story. However, Sally is aged up from 12 in the short story to her 20s by the looks of it. I think it's not really making how old they are supposed to be. I think they're supposed to be in their 20s, the characters, but there was a bit where she laughed about Kathy, her friends, saying that she's had told, when she goes back in time and she gets the letter from her, that Kathy had told her future husband that she was 18, which I'm not exactly sure whether that was supposed to mean that she was saying that she was older than to what she was, or younger. So I'm not exactly sure about that. Probably younger, but it's been a quest. It's been a wonder. I'm not incredibly sure. I'm presuming they're in their 20s, though. The characters are in their 20s at some point. Kathy just wanted to make herself look younger for some reason. But anyway, but the story, more or less similarly what we get in the short story, which I actually read before doing the review of Human Nature, Family Blood, just so I could get it. I already had read it, but reading it again, and it was a really great short story. A really great short story. However, the episode takes it to the next level, as not only is it a great sci-fi adventure story, but to throw in another thing that wasn't in, like the scarecrows in Human Nature, the original Human Nature, This time round, we also get the Weeping Angels included in this story, which adds some horror and tension to the story, as well as expand the story. I mean, this one could have made a good single part 25 minutes episode, perhaps, of the classic series, or a short minisode for the DVDs or for the internet. But for an actual 45-minute episode, unlike an actual novel, which by the way, Human Nature Family Blood perfectly paced at 2 episodes. But for a single 45-minute episode, the short story would need to be stretched out a bit more, and it needs to be a bit different. And this story is slightly different. It's got some more. Like I said, the character aged up a little bit, and some things are a bit different. But I think that makes the story a bit more unique compared to the short story. Not to mention the inclusion of the Weeping Angels is a fantastic concept. The lonely assassins, they can't look at each other, they have to cover their eyes, and they can only move when you're not seeing them. The Weeping Angels have gone on to become a fan favourite. Well, after this story, became a fan favourite monster, although by this point we're kind of a bit tired of seeing them every now and again anyway, even though they've only had 3 proper stories. They, like the Daleks, they keep making cameos cameos. They were also going to be a major player in spin-off series Class, which would have been interesting had Class been renewed for a second series. So, yeah, we're not going to see how that turns out unless Big Finish picks it up in a Torchwood God Amongst Us and Aliens Amongst Us style, which are basically series 6 and 5 of Torchwood. So unless Big Finish does a series 2 of Class in a similar way of Torchwood series 5 and 6, then we're probably not going to find out at the moment. The only Class all he's doing seem to be like the books. They're kind of slotted between the series 1 stories, from what I hear. Yeah, Ace does pop up in one of them still. I don't know if they're posts the Lost stories or not. Anyway, going back to Blink, because Blink's the important one at the moment. The story is Sally Sparrow goes to this house west of Drumlins, which is not in the short story. That's another addition. We go to new settings in this story, new characters, new settings. Besides Sally Sparrow is the only thing that stays the same, besides the fact she's aged up about 10 to 15 years. From 12 to somewhere in her 20s. And west of Drumlins is an old house, and she likes looking around it, and she finds a message by the Doctor. Like how Human Nature Family Blood, the novel was the 7th Doctor, but the episodes were the 10th Doctor. The short story from the annual was the 9th Doctor, but this time round it's the 10th Doctor. And this time he's stuck in 1969 as opposed to 1985 in the short story. And he and Martha arrived at west of Drumlins and then were sent back in time by a Weeping Angel. This same Weeping Angel obviously sends another character back in time to 69. And he's got stuff from Sally Sparrow, as seen at the end of the episode, with him. So he needs to get the younger Sally Sparrow to come and help him. So he writes on the wall, and he has to get her to help him get himself back. And throughout the episode, Sally has to investigate what's going on and solve the mystery and help the Doctor. Unfortunately, her friend Kathy gets sent back in time to the 1920s, which leads to all of that stuff. And when she goes to the police on recommendation of a DVD shop owner, we don't see DVD shops like that anymore, and apart from CEX, which is a fantastic shop, support them, and HMV, support them. But besides them, there aren't many proper DVD shops left now, not really. But yeah, she's gone to see Larry to pass on a message by his sister. By the way, like the comedy between the characters, by the way. To be honest, Larry is almost like a prototype Rory, and to be honest, Sally could be a prototype Amy. Mr. TARDIS Reviews mentioned in his top 10 historical stories video of the new series that Gun in the Fireplace was almost a prototype Series 5 with the romantic fairy tale story, and Blink is almost another prototype for Series 5. This is prototype of what Moffat would do if he was showrunner, or at least for the first series, which of course is what we got with Series 5. And yeah, you can definitely see elements of Amy and Rory in Sally and Larry. Although I think Larry's a bit more scared than Rory would be. But yeah, eventually, after visiting the police by the police officer that Sally was talking to, Billy, D.I. Shipton, is sent back in time by the 69 Angel, and he's the one who has to put the Doctor's messages that he's been recording that are appearing on these DVDs that Larry has. he gets the Doctor's message, and like in the short story, it's half a conversation, and the Doctor has the other half written down, and he's just waiting for his cues for his lines. And eventually, Sally and Larry have to work out what it all means and try to get the TARDIS back to the Doctor before the Weeping Angels could get their hands on it. Sally managed to get the key from one of them, so they couldn't get into the blue box just as well, because otherwise they would have gotten it. But around the time that they sent Billy Shipton back in time. A really great emotional scene with an old Billy in the hospital when he reunites with Sally as well. And the bit where Storm basically walks out after he's passed away. Great bit. The music amps it up and you can tell she's not happy. I'm also kind of with Larry in the fact that she's only got 17 DVDs. By 2007, that is not enough. I mean, Blu-ray was starting to come out around that time, but still, it was still a popular time for DVDs. So I'm kind of with him. And a bit where he's putting on one of the DVDs with great sound quality, but he's talking about another one having better picture quality, and Sally says it doesn't matter. That's basically the reaction I get from my sister when talking about DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff. Maybe some people will feel the same way. I'm kind of a bit of a DVD Blu-ray nut myself. A little bit. I mean, I'm not so knowledgeable about best qualities, but I just love the physical copy with me. And if it's said to have better quality, then if one has better quality or it's something on a later release of a DVD or Blu-ray has been updated from a previous release, that's me. That's got me. That's signed me in, or I will mention it or something. And I also don't mind getting the older copies either, to be honest. Even if the quality is not as great, but the older copies are still pretty nice if you can pick them up. And yeah, anyway, the final act is really, really great. Lots of great tension throughout the episodes, but the last act with Sally and Larry are up against 4 Weeping Angels. Well, 1 to start with, and then 3 more later on. Really, really great. Builds up the tension, builds up the character dynamic, and it's just absolutely brilliant. This is also probably the best directed episode of Series 3 so far, under Hattie MacDonald's Sorry Graham Harper. Although Utopia is coming up, he has a chance to redeem himself. I mean, I liked 42's direction, but I think it could have been slightly better. But we've got Utopia coming up, so and yeah, I just absolutely adore this direction. And as mentioned in Human Nature Family of Blood, there is a kind of a quick panny transition, but actually on this time around, it's actually pretty good. Actually, forgot Human Nature had 2 of them, to be honest, and it kind of felt a bit awkward in 1 or 2 places. But here it's fine, it's great. And going back to what was going on, some really great tension stuff when they go down into the cellar and they have to slot the disc into the TARDIS, and another virtual message in homage to Parting the Ways, Security Protocol 1. And really great. I hope that case, the DVD case, gets to stay inside the TARDIS, as otherwise the Doctor's got to return the disc at some point, or Larry's just going to have an empty case and he's not going to have a disc. Yeah, he won't have a DVD full stop, but maybe, I mean, again, the Doctor could return it. Otherwise, he could get himself a new copy. But having an empty case, that's a bit pointless. So he's not going to get his disc unless he gets his disc back. Anyway, so Larry and Sally aren't supposed to go in the TARDIS. However, with the Weeping Angels surrounding the TARDIS, the Doctor has tricked them to be facing each other so that they will freeze themselves. They're supposed to be quantum knots. They can't see each other, otherwise they freeze. And that's exactly what he does. He can't let this lot take the brunt of the TARDIS stuff. According to the 11th Doctor, these ones are scavengers in Time of Angels. They're not the fully formed ones we see later on. These ones are scavengers looking to harness the power of the TARDIS to survive, to feed off the energy, but it could switch off the sun, so the Doctor has to have it back. So he tricks the Weeping Angels. Larry's actually the one who realizes it, and then those 2 are safe. And 1 year later, we see Sally Piff giving the 10th Doctor the information that he needs to get himself out of that situation that we just saw. It's also great to imply that not every any statue could be a Weeping Angel. Not every statue, but any statue. And that last shot where it could just lots of shots of statues around Cardiff, maybe London as well. It just could be any of these statues could be a Weeping Angel, even though all of the ones so far seem to look like Weeping Angels and cherubs in Time of in Angel State Manhattan. Well, actually, the statues in the Time of Angels that start forming into Weeping Angels. But yeah, so Blink, this is a masterfully written and executed story. Stephen Moffat has taken the best elements of the short story from the 2006 annual and just knocked it up to 11, adding the Weeping Angels to include suspense, horror, tension, and the fact that the whole plot even exists as opposed from the TARDIS just burping 20 years into the future, like in the short story. No, this time the Weeping Angels send the Doctor and Martha 38 years back in time, so that Sally Sparrow has to send the TARDIS back to the Doctor, as opposed to pilot the TARDIS back. But this time she's up against people aliens who want the TARDIS for themselves. This is exactly what the Doctor said in the short story. He didn't want it to fall into the wrong hands, even if he waited 20 years. So this is exactly that. This is the race against time to stop the Weeping Angels getting it. And Sally Sparrow is a great character. Carey Mulligan is probably the best guest star of this series, apart from John Barrowman, but technically he's the main character in the next 3 episodes, so maybe she is after all. But she does an outstanding job as Sally Sparrow, and she's just absolutely amazing. And the character's also really great. As I said, she's a bit of a prototype for Amy, and to be honest, I like Amy. So yeah, I'm liking Sally, and I think she's also a nicer character than Amy, so even better. Larry's also a pretty good character, again, a prototype Rory, although I think Rory is better. But he's still a great character. He's got some good moments as well. And he's quite likable. Kathy's also a pretty good character as well. It's a shame we don't get more of her, but hey ho, we've got to show the Weeping Angels being business before we get to the meatier stuff of the plot. And Billy Shipton's also a pretty fun character. To be honest, he's kind of a nervous, awkward guy around pretty women. I don't blame him, to be honest, just as long as he's not that creepy, unlike that guy Kathy met in 1920. I mean, maybe he's just trying to be nice, but following her could be implied to be creepy. Unless he generally wants to help her. Other than that, the only other characters are Malcolm, who's that's his name, the grandson of Kathy who delivers the message, and just a few other minor characters like the DVD shop guy and the policeman at the desk, and older Billy. He's a great character as well. But ultimately, it's mainly focused on Sally, and I like that. I think it's a great story. Focusing on Sally Sparrow. And after Love and Monsters rubbed some people off the wrong way, personally, I thought that was a good story. It went downhill in the third act, in the third. But the rest of the story I thought was pretty good. It was trying to make a point. It just, maybe not all of it was perfect. And then the third act happened, and then it went a bit downhill. But I know for a fact, loads of other people, pretty much 90% of the fandom, don't like Love and Monsters. About 90% is and then you got about 8% that like it but don't love it, and then maybe 2% that adore it. Billy Tracy would be one of those 2% before you ask. That's Billy Tracy, from Five Fans, who I mentioned in the Love and Monsters review. But I think the majority of fans would be in that first 90% where they hate it, or at least don't like it. So some people would probably not be very happy about a Doctor Light story after that. However, Blink must win them over, because again, this one is a very popular story. This is usually considered the best new series story on Doctor Who magazine in its 2009 200 stories poll and 2014 50th anniversary stories poll. It came second both times, after the Caves of Androzani the first time and the Day of the Doctor the second time. So actually, that's a pretty good ordering. And before anyone else, I think Genesis of the Daleks came third both times, and it came first in the 1998 poll. Caves wasn't too far behind on that one, and it came fourth in the 2014 one. I think, yeah. But anyway, but as I was saying, Blink is a very popular story, and for good reason. Fantastic writing by Stephen Moffat. Fantastic direction from Hattie MacDonald. This is only one of 3 episodes she directs. She directs Magician's Apprentice and Which is Familiar at the start of Series 9 in 2015. We'll get onto those stories, but I don't think they're as good directed as Blink, and less said about the script, the better, before we actually get to it. But yeah, she does a fantastic job there, and I love the characters, I love the atmosphere. The Weeping Angels are great. Great monsters, and yeah, I was kind of excited to see them back when they were coming back for Series 5. But now, looking at it on reflection, they did get overused with their cameos. It was great to have a cameo in Series 6. It was great to have another story of them in Series 7. And then we got more and more cameos. I mean, it was fine with Class, because that was going to take them somewhere interesting if Series 2 had happened. But by the time the Doctors and Hell Bent, it kind of it's oversaturated it. Kind of glad they didn't come back in Series 10. But this was a fantastic first outing for them, and they were just absolutely amazing. And this is probably them at their best. Also, Martha's not got much to do with this time round, though, and that's to say a shame. But Freeman does a great job with the performance she gets, and the characters decently well written here. Overall, this is a fantastic episode and a great addition to the series. And despite being Doctor-liked, it's a really fun and really enjoyable adventure. And Carey Mulligan carries the weight of Sally Sparrow, and she's outstanding. It would be great to see her back, but even if this was just her one time around, or Carey Mulligan can come back to play another character at least. But even if this was just a one-time round for A, the character, and B, the actress, she nailed it. It's like how we got to like John Smith over the course of Human Nature and the Family of Blood, except this time when we don't have to worry about Sally dying at the very end, although you can be worried about such a thing when first viewing, with the tensions building and stuff. On the whole, I am going to give Blink an easy 10 out of 10. This story is just absolutely amazing, and I just love it. I just really, really enjoy it. It's just absolutely amazing. Also, fun fact, at time of recording, it's April 2020. This will go out in May 2020. Back in February 2019, when I was on the television, it was television genres module in my first year of university. We watched this episode. It was the 5th week, and yeah, really, really great watching it on the big screen in one of the lecture halls. It was absolutely amazing, and yeah, and hopefully quite a few people in my class liked it. Some girls behind me were actually wondering if it was going to be a Jodie Whittaker episode, so they were obviously aware of Series 11 at the time. I did mention it was actually a David Tennant episode from 2007, but I'm hoping some people liked it, some people enjoyed it, and in the seminar a few hours later, I talked quite a lot about the show as a whole. So hopefully I got some people interested, although our library only has 3 classic series stories, Dark Invasion of Earth, Carnival Monsters, and The Tales of Wang-Chiang. But now with BrickBox, and also with BBC iPlayer, as well as Boxer Broadcast that we university students can use, hopefully some of them check some more episodes out. Maybe they checked out an episode with more involvement of the Doctor and or companions, perhaps. Smith and Jones would be a very good story too. What if you liked Blink but you haven't seen any other Doctor Who's before? Check out Smith and Jones. That's a good one to recommend for checking out, or go to Partners in Crime for the next one, because that will have introduce companions to the Doctor or start a new adventure in Donna's case. And Blink is one of the ones that is considered one to recommend to pick towards people who haven't seen the show, so you can get an idea without much of the Doctor companion relationships, although I do think it is a good idea to watch a story that has a lot of Doctor and or companion stuff afterwards. So Smith and Jones, for example. That's a good example, to be honest. That is a good one to check out on a first time viewing as well. So yeah, that's Blink. That was amazing, and yeah, that's probably my favorite episode of the David Tennant era as a whole. Unless something in Series 4 can somehow top that, I don't expect it to. Even though lots of Series 4 stories are really great, including the next Moffat 2-parter, Science and Library Forest of the Dead, which is probably my favorite of that series. Again, we'll see when we get to that. So unless something in Series 4 can top this is my favourite David Tennant episode, and my favourite of the mid to late 2000s stories, 2005 to 2009, after Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways. Which you can check out my thoughts on that story already. Oh, and one more thing before we go. I actually got a t-shirt with the 10th Doctor's lines of, people assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective point of view, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. I love this shirt. In fact, after watching Blink today, I'm actually going to wear this shirt tomorrow, so you'll see it in the next review. And the following 2 days, you might see it in later videos as well. So yeah, I love the shirt, and I might also be getting the Angels Have the Phone Box shirt for my birthday, maybe late next month, or when the video comes out later this month. So woo! Hopefully, but yeah, I just wanted to show this off quickly before we end the review. I forgot to mention it whilst we were doing it. Okay, back to me to finish up the review. So that's it from me. Thank you for watching. We've now only got one more review from Series 3 to do. Next time, the 3-part finale, Utopia, The Sound of Drums, and The Last of the Time Lords. One last review of this series, and then it's onto the ranking. And my goodness, next time, I'm going to apologise in advance if it's very long. It's a 3-parter. Stay tuned next time for the mega review of the probably, I mean, it might not be, of the 3-part finale, Utopia, The Sound of Drums, and The Last of the Time Lords. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Don't blink. Blink and you're dead. They're fast. Faster than you could ever believe. Don't turn your back. Don't look away. And don't blink. Good luck. Let's get in with the review. Now then, let's get on with... And now that's out the way, let's get on with the review. Actually, I'm going to cut that bit. Oh, I give up. I'm actually going to do it again, actually. Don't blink. Blink and you're dead. They are fast. Faster than you can ever believe. Don't turn your back. Don't look away. And don't blink. I blinked too early. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Nick here, and welcome to my review of... I'm just checking this on. And possibly my second favourite episode of the 2005 to 2000 of 2000, and possibly my second favourite episode and one of my all-time favourite new series and overall show, Doctor Who stories, and also one of my favourites of classics. No. But anyway, Blink is in the short story. It was the 10th. It's the 9th Doctor, but in the episodes like Human Nature, Family, and Blood, it was. And eventually Larry and Sari. Although I'm kind of in Larry's spot with although I'm kind of sympathising with Larry as well, because although I must say I'm also I am a bit of a. Even by 2007, that's not enough. Even by 2000, Carey Mulligan is probably the best guest star of this series, apart from John Barrowman. Maybe John Sim. Well, Billy Tracy would be in that lot before you are in that group. Billy Tracy would be one of those Billy's, and for good reason. It's fantastically right, fantastic. But anyway, the Weeping Angel. But for Series 3, they were fantastic first time. Overall, this story is a really fun. So overall, but yeah. Anyway, And yeah, I don't think I'm going to be this. We're on the home stretch next time. The start. Um, I love this shirt. I'm actually gonna. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna wear it the next for the next